Hey, welcome everyone to Paranormal Talk. Hope everyone's having a great evening wherever you're on our big honking country stretched out across the planet. I know, a lot of times when I talk about this show, we talk about worldwide audience, and we do have worldwide audience, but this particular show really has more American-based audience. When I say America, I mean the Americas, not America itself. I'm talking about South America, Central America, and North America. It tends to be where the majority of the audience for this particular show is, which is 700,000 or 800,000 people. So it's kind of nice. A lot of the other shows really have a much broader based, wider based audience. Especially the UFO shows, they really seem to have a more global audience, and a couple of the other bigger shows that have a global audience. But this is nice and comfortable where we are. And I got Michelle with us tonight, and I have Dell and Sean and Michael. And I'll let them all properly introduce themselves in just a minute. A lot of stuff been going on. I know everybody's disclosure this, disclosure that, disclosure this, and we're going to talk disclosure tonight for sure. But we might even talk a little crossover tonight. Why there seems to be so much activity between paranormal and ufology when they're in the same area. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. Why do I hear phones dinging? I don't have my phone.
Oh, it's Laura's sitting backstage there waiting for you to
Is
add
she?
her in there.
Oh, okay. Hold on. See, that's why I hate this. Goes halfway like this. Let me stretch this.
Only your hate can destroy the internet.
See, we only three
There
shorts
it
for
is.
Paranormal Squares tonight. Should I invite three more? We'll just do Paranormal Squares tonight. Actually, we're gonna have 10 to do. Somebody's got to moderate. So we got.
Hey, Joe, man, I gotta say, you know what? You're looking really good these days. Ever since you got that shot, I think it's changing you, man. I think that you look different.
Man,
Actually, you look younger. I'm not just saying that. Maybe my eyes are fucked up.
But it's no, it's fun.
Pick a
Now,
glass.
real quick, because I know somebody's going to ask me from Nights Over, because I had talked about it on Facebook. Yes, to Justin and all y'all, did go get tested today. I got all kind of nuclear. I'm actually going to be contaminated with radiation for 2 more days, man. It bites. No, I had to go get nuclear stress test done today, so it was a lot of fun. Joy, wonderful shit, sitting around for 4 hours. Well, no, they first they do your blood work, then they take your chest rates, then they gotta shoot you full of whatever that shit is they shoot you full of. Then you gotta go lay for the camera for 30, and then the girl goes, "Well, you're gonna do the treadmill." I said, "Yeah, I'm getting on a treadmill, so I gotta check, It's like a dog." I'm 3 minutes in. Can you kill me now? Just be done with it. She goes, "Okay, you hit your level now, so you can stop." She goes, "Are you okay?" She said, "Are you tired?" I said, "No." She said, "Your chest hurt." I said, "No, I just winded. I said, old and winded. That's all." And she's like, "Okay, go." So, but then they gotta wait another hour. They're gonna shoot you for some more to freaking die, and then you gotta wait for 40 minutes, and then you gotta go sit and lay there for another 30 minutes while they X-ray you. So I said, "Am I dying, or can I leave now? I mean, what the hell?" She's like, "No, you can go." So, doctor, I'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. I said, "A couple of weeks." I said, "Well, apparently ain't nothing major wrong."
They just want you to pay your bill. They keep you alive long enough just to pay the bill, man.
Well, that's the thing now. It's funny you said that, and that's a complete side note, and we'll do this on the political show in a couple of weeks. But a friend of mine who's a doctor told me, he said, "No, we like it better today because we can prolong the death of people
Oh, wow.
up to 5 to 15, even 20 years sometimes." He said, and that whole time they have to be seeing doctors. They have to be on medicine. He said, everybody makes money. He said, but don't take it out of context. He said, these people are getting 20 years. I said, yeah. But is it quality or is it just, what? I mean, if it ain't quality, who wants 20 years if you just not? There's a difference between a good quality of life and just sitting on a log, getting a shot every
Exactly.
day and breathing. That's you just might as well shoot me and put me out of my misery.
5 extra weeks of pain.
Yeah,
and you know what?
My mom,
I'll say this, which is a horrible statement. My mom's oncologist for 3.5 years, never reached out to my sister and I and said, "I'm sorry. My condolences." Nothing. He's a cold, miserable bastard. Even the hospital she was in for 5 days sent a card, and they were very kind.
Well, I'm actually surprised he didn't reach out to get the two of y'all tested because it's funny we bring this up. I noticed on our topic today, but it's funny you brought it up because tonight, today when I was talking to my doctor and last week, he goes, "Well, what killed your parents? Heart disease." I said, "No, actually, heart disease didn't kill my parents." I said, "My mother did have 2 stents." I said, "But she was 71." I said, "Brain cancer killed my mom, and blood cancer killed my dad." So when I told this to my regular doctor, that's why she tests me every 6 months. She said, once I hit 55, that was it. She said, "You're getting tested every 6 months." She said, "As long as you're under my care, I'm going to test you every 6 months." She said, "At least this way we got to fight a chance of catching this shit before it kills you." And I was like, "Okay," but she's a pain in the ass. That's why I got to see these other doctors. because she's a pain in the ass. Anyway, enough about my health. I'm doing pretty good. I'm planning on kicking off. If I go, it's going to be in total shock and awe. I won't be so surprised. So that's the way I want to happen. I don't want to be one of them waiting to die for 5 year motherfuckers. Excuse my French. That's just not who I am. But anyway, we got a good panel tonight. We're going to get started here just in a second. I'm going to let Michelle's on the right tonight, huh?
I know. I waited a few minutes to see if anybody else would log in first.
No,
I was still the first.
Yeah, almost got you. He almost got you. But anyway, I'm going to let Michelle come in and introduce themselves and let the panel go around. I'm going to flip us over to the regular station so everybody around the world can listen to the show. Because really, this first 10 minutes of the show, the only people who get this is the yard streamers, the stream yarders. And I did find some new stuff about StreamYard. We'll talk a little bit about that later in the show. But anyway, Michelle, the floor is yours, Cherie.
Welcome to the Paranormal Panel. We are broadcasting live here via the International Public Radio on the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM from beautiful New Orleans. Everybody, introduce yourselves, please. Start with you, the Dell.
Hey, Tuesdays at 9 Eastern, the delicious recipe. We talk about everything. Mystery, conspiracy, world issues. We throw it all in the pot and we see how it tastes at the end. Laura.
I like it. Laura Lee.
Hi, everybody. I'm Laura Lee Puckett. I'm the host of the Angel Rock on Monday nights here from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I cover all aspects of the supernatural, anything from the paranormal to UFOs, ETs, power of the mind, past lives, anything like that. Tonight, though, my guest canceled. So I don't know what we're going to be doing. We're going to talk to Joe about that after. But yeah, glad to be here with you guys.
Boo. Boo on the guest.
No,
Sean.
Rona.
Hey.
Yes. It wasn't the guest's fault this time. It was her PR agent.
Oh, wow. My name's Sean. I'm the one of the co-hosts on Chasing Prophecy Thursday night at 7 o'clock, along with Jenny Nicasio and
Yeah,
Jason.
by the way, he's the sexy one on Chasing Prophecy. I wanted to let y'all know. Just started.
I'm the sexy one.
And happy birthday, Sean.
Thank you. Yeah, it was my birthday. I turned 59. I'm getting old.
Yes.
Oh, happy
birthday,
birthday.
Sean.
There's a birthday
that?
boy on tonight.
Yeah, that was
Hey,
June
see,
4th.
everybody that has a birthday in the summer, like mine, May 25th, yours there this time is the best. Summer birthdays are the best.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But that'd be it for me, Michael.
All right. Then, of course, I'm Michael Angley. I got the Red Pill News every Thursday, 8 p.m. All talk all the time, all kinds of stuff. Take the red pill. And I got Discovery Paranormal every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Everything paranormal is the paranormal science, man. And you know what? Lots of stuff's coming out, especially this report. I keep hearing about it, but I don't see it. What do you guys think about that?
I like it. And I, of course, am Michelle Drochet, and you can find myself with Amelia Pisano every Wednesday and Thursday evening, 8 to 10 Central, 9 to 11 Eastern on the Outer Realm. There we go.
Beautiful Amelia Pisano.
Can't hear you, Joe. Can't hear you, Joe.
Thank you. Because I was just saying, Amelia's banned from my list. She is banned from my Facebook. I have banned her ass, man.
That's all the
If
food
you listen,
pictures,
Bubbles,
isn't
you
it?
are banned.
The food
Oh my
pictures.
God. You know,
Oh, wow.
She's a
that's-
badass, man. You got to respect that. You know what I mean? You should like that.
she
You
is
Southern boys
bad.
can't handle a strong Italian woman. That's really what it is, man. You guys got no head for sausage or ravioli or, you know.
We'll try a French one.
Lasagna.
We're silent for
handle the
Italy, so we have
sauce.
to be.
I'm saying. Dirty
Actually,
mozzarella.
Leah's got a good point. Actually, I think it is false disclosure more than it is first disclosure because a couple of things, really. In the last 2 weeks, the government has released some stuff, in case y'all didn't know. The government said that, yes, UFOs are real. Okay, let me explain right off the bat. UFO means unidentified flying object. Of course they're real because you don't know what gets flying in the sky all the time. So, of course, there are such things as unidentified flying objects. So, yeah, that's not a big stretch. But, and this is the federal government said this, but we don't think it's aliens. Oh, wait, no, it's not aliens. But we don't know what it is, but it's not aliens. Again, we don't know what it is. Their words, but it's not alien. Now, I like when the guy said, "What might be Russia, Chinese?" Now, we all, everybody in this panel, anybody over the age of 20 knows this. If we thought Russia or China was got them kind of weapons, we'd already be at war. We'd be like, what the hell's going on here? We are not going to put up with this for even a minute. It's already, look, I already heard today the invasion of Canada is being planned. I don't know. We're going to free you Canadians one way or another. That's if the whitey people don't beat us too, y'all. You know, now their petition's up to
We
2
don't want
million
you.
people. They're coming into y'all's country. 2 million cougar women. Oh, yeah, you better run. Dave ain't gonna be strong enough for that, baby.
Oh my
I can see Laura Lee out there with a sword.
Seriously.
You guys can't even handle the black flies and mosquitoes. I just heard you before we started the
Yeah.
show there. You guys were whimpering like little girls.
Not us,
Yeah,
man.
you guys won't last.
Yeah,
Like, hunt the drugs for Gordon man.
I think you hear things wrong, man. I actually mentioned when I was a kid how you swore in my mom's car. I don't know how that
Oh my God,
transcends
Michael.
from whimpering like
Michael,
a kid.
stop
But
talking
It's,
till you come on camera, buddy.
no, we got
I
can hear
you
you.
got your own
I can hear you,
problems
but I
there
can't see you.
in under lock and key, and I don't think you
Oh,
do very
Michael.
much during the day. So
Anyway, getting back
probably
to
something
what
to
we
do
were
with
talking about. Anyway, getting back to the topic.
Hit mute on Michael.
It's the thing of it
always
is
get a job.
Go on
is it
camera, buddy.
no? Y'all two knock it off. Is it going to be real disclosure or fake disclosure? I'm already saying I'm going with fake. Before we even get into this conversation, I'm going with fake. I don't think they can disclose anything without causing somebody trouble. I mean, who can honestly go? All right, I can see it now. And if crackerhead Joe Biden gets up there and says, I'm telling you people, you Americans and you Canadians, which are Americans too, and you Mexicans, which are also Americans, UFOs are real. Well, yeah, we know UFOs are real. No, I mean aliens are real. Okay, are we talking illegal aliens from the border, Joe? Because I know you get confused very easily. Are we talking about extraterrestrial aliens from other worlds? Even if he told me yes, I still wouldn't believe it. I just there's something about the guy I just don't like.
Well, how come Obama said we've never talked to aliens directly when he was answering that kid on Ellen's show? But I mean, he didn't say aliens don't exist. He just said we never
because
talked
as
to them
far as I
directly.
know, the last Democrat to talk to an alien would have been in World War II. It's been Republicans ever since then.
Why would they want to talk to any of us?
They don't really. They
Maybe me, because I'm funny.
No, they don't really. They don't. As far as everyday citizens go, people they're not already in contact with, they don't have any interest in them. Really and truly, for the less than let's see about the 1.2, 1.4 billion that have probably been taken over the years, the other 7 billion are inconsequential. They don't care. They don't really care. That's why they don't step in like on Fukushima or Hiroshima or any of that shit. They're like, no, that's your problem. You wipe the planet out. We can take our contactees off world. It doesn't matter if we destroy a place.
Joe, you
Or we can
served,
fix
man. You know the security of an aircraft carrier is
It is.
unbelievable.
It is.
If something's flying around and they don't know what it is, man, that is crazy. And I
That's
want my money
what
back
bothered
for
me
that
about that
defense
swarm.
money.
Well, no. See, this is what bothered me about that swarm. I'm glad you brought that up, Michael. So this swarm goes over to Nimitz, right? Now I'm going to tell you how this would have went down when I was on Nimitz. First thing you would have heard was a big, huge siren going off. Everybody would have been manning the gun station. We'd have been putting planes in the air immediately. There would have been we'd have been snapping pictures the whole time because we got automatic cameras on the whole carrier. But we'd have been putting planes in the air. We'd have been calling for backup. We'd have been looking for any ships in the area, any other planes in the area. We'd have and let me tell you what, y'all don't realize it. There's quite a few guns on a carrier, and there's quite a few missile launches as well.
Yes.
You just don't think she's unarmed, man.
With
She's
a nice
not.
complement of destroyers and other ships.
So that's the whole point. They would have lit up the skies. The first thing they did is they would have sent in a I forgot what they call it, communication. And then after that, if you wouldn't have answered them back immediately and said we were leaving the area, guess where you'd have went? Into the ocean because they'd have shot your ass out of the sky.
So that this comes to the whole part about this word. I think it's a play on words when you say unidentified. So that means that the U.S. military does know these people, and
if they didn't shoot them down,
does know these craft, right? And so that, what you told in your story there is that they ramped up the speed of the boat and just let it coast because when the ship comes in and landed on there, it shuts down temporarily the electronics in there, and so that's something that there's already something. So it's something that's being going on between the military and whoever's driving these ships or these
I would say
UFOs or UAPs. right?
Yeah,
So
I would say
there's
that the
already
government has a
a
working knowledge.
handshake there.
Yeah, I would say they have a working knowledge to an extent to where how can I? Okay, this would be a better way of putting it. It's like when the United States or Canada or any of the first world countries give technology to a second or third world countries. There's always stipulations and always things, and it's the exact same thing with them versus us. They're so far ahead of us. They're very leery to give us anything because humans are really, really stupid, but we're really, really smart at the same time. We have a one good ability. We can take anything apart and make it work, put it back together, and make it better. So if you give us the technology, sooner or later we're gonna expand on it. And what I mean is, if you go back to the original Roswell paper from 1952, 54, 55, whatever it was, the first paper that ever mentions this talks about three things that were seen at the crash site. They described as glass-like wire, sounds just like fiber optics. They describe what we would consider today to be aircraft aluminum. And there was a picture of what I would call a Pentium chip from today. I mean, recent times, like very recent times. This looked like an 8, maybe a 16 core, maybe a 24 core chip. These were all things that were recovered. These are all things that we did not have any knowledge about in the 50s, but are a part of our life today. Now, we can say it was natural progression, but I don't know where you'd naturally progress in the microchip from. Tubes and micro and stuff like that. I can understand silicone, moving from sand to glass to chips, but I can't understand the micro process of where they come from. There was nothing of its kind. I mean, come on, we were using, what kind of computers we were using? Card punch computers. How do you go from a freaking piece of a card to a microchip? And how do you do it in a span of 5 years? That's just unheard of. I mean, when I was in the Navy, some of the computers I was working on were either reel to reel or punch card. And then all of a sudden, I find myself on a carrier
Magnetic tape.
working on microchips that I ain't never seen. I mean,
Lily's here. Lily's in the house.
Oh, yeah, ladies in the house with it. But it's just it's an unnormal, it's unnatural
Hello.
technology. So,
Hello.
it shows right there that something interfered. Was it deliberate? Was it accidental? I think it was. I think they gave us these three things to see where we would go with them, and said, "Here, but we're taking our saucer back, you idiots, because obviously you can't fly the damn thing."
Reverse design. And what about the Black Knight satellite, man?
Yeah, well, it's still
Satellites, plural.
Well, it's still the major one, the one everybody talks about, is still up there. It doesn't. It's stationary orbit. Nothing screws with it. Nobody goes around it.
Can't get near it.
Nobody will mess with it. Yeah, because you lose power. And everybody swears it's not there. So all three of the major governments immediately said it didn't exist. Then Britain, for some reason, leaked something that said it did exist. And then, lo and behold, unfortunately for the governments, some company satellites put their images of it out. I think there was Boeing had an image. There was a couple of big companies that had satellites and were taking pictures at the time and had seen this thing and it made it public. So,
I like how they said it was space junk. It was just like a
big ass piece of space of junk.
Right.
Yeah, but it's been up there for a really long time, hasn't it?
They say 50
on a polar orbit, which we weren't even able to achieve until the 60s or something.
They say,
and how long has it been there?
They say it's been there at least 15,000 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
Really?
Something to do with some of the radiation. There was samples that were taken.
Well, look at the Pyrrhus Reese maps. I mean, he worked off of maps that were very old, and obviously they had a view of the Earth from above. You can't get that accurate back then. They didn't have any means to do that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things we did. So, we're going to start off a little different. We're going to go around the chart here.
Well, before we continue, I have a real question for everybody.
Yeah.
Will we, if there are aliens, treat them the same way that we treat illegal aliens coming over the border, man? Just curious.
I think they're going to treat us that way. I don't think they're going to be treating them that way. I think
populate the zoo.
Aren't we the trespassers?
I think we are the zoo. I hate to say.
Well, some people, some people speculate that Earth as a prison colony, just like Australia was, and other people say it's other things. And regardless what we are at this particular point or junction, we're very young, very ignorant. We're young spiritually. We're young mentally.
Speak for yourself, old man.
We're ignorant. I can't say it. I wish we weren't ignorant. I really do wish we were. But all you got to do is go back 500 years to understand how ignorant we actually is. I mean, every scientist alive today agrees. Without the Middle Ages, we're 500 years more advanced. Without the last 1,000 years of religion, we're 2,000 years more advanced than where we are today, which means there would be no cancer, no COVID, none of that crap would have already been wiped out. So the problem for us is we got to make up time, and I guess alien technology would help us do such a thing. But anyway, getting because I know I had a couple of we were talking about this the other day, and I've been asking my regulars to send me questions for the next couple of weeks as we're going through all of this. But this is on a personal note. And we're going to start. We're going to start with Lily because she's on the bottom. Then we're going to Michael, Sean, Laura Lee, Del. Laura, how'd you get there? Millie, you're just in a weird position in this panel. We got to move you around. Then we're going to Del and Michelle and myself. But anyway,
Well,
if there was disclosure, what would you hope to get out of it?
well, if there was disclosure, I would hope that we would get the information we're seeking, because people have been trying for the longest time to actually get, just any little bit. But I think they would advance us. Obviously they've gotten space travel under control, so they would definitely advance us technologically and all that stuff. But the problem would come with, I guess, morality. You know, it's a matter of, do we actually share the same morals? Are they more advanced, and what does that mean?
Are they more advanced? That's a good question. Wait, what did I do here? Did I lose myself again? Oh, we lost.
No, you're on.
I thought we lost. Okay, well, Michael, we'll go. You go next, and then Sean, you out there. Mikey lost too, man. Mikey's
Yeah.
trying out
obviously, if they've paid attention to
there's
mankind
a lot
at all,
of skipping in.
obviously, if they paid attention to mankind at all, there's definitely a motive not to advance mankind, because we can't handle it yet. We're not to that point yet. Obviously, if we're still destroying each other and profiting off of people's gnarly, and man, there's a long way to go. A long way to go. So I don't believe that they would. Maybe if people knew they were there, and then here's the military saying, yeah, they're there. We don't know what they are. They're swarming us, and we have no control over it. And obviously their technology is way better than ours. So behave yourself, or something stupid like that. But
before they probe you,
you know the government. They don't say anything unless there's some money in it for them.
Unless they probe you, that's weird.
We're
ahead,
stuck
Sean.
on probing, man.
I know. Don't ask. Go ahead, Sean.
About this whole
TMI.
about this whole UFO and aliens, and you know what? I'm going to wake up the next day and I'm going to put my pants on and I'm going to go to work, because I personally, and this is my own opinion, that I really don't care if aliens came on this earth or not. I mean, what are they going to do? Beam me up? Kill me? I'm not prepared for it. So whatever they put out, whatever the government puts out, I don't believe them, And Joe, you were right about aircraft carriers. That would have been true. I was on the USS Independence.
Oh.
And yeah, CV-62. And I remember one time, long story short, we were going with Gaddafi, we were going at it, and they launched 2 squadrons of MiGs after us. My God, we had 14 ships surrounding us, dude. You know what I mean? So I think it's a bunch of horse shit myself. That's how I feel.
A lot of it is a bunch of horse shit. Can't even deny that part. A lot of it is. Yeah, you want to independent? That's where my stepson serves. He actually got his first medal there. A damn thing caught on fire. He had to pull people off of it.
That was a good boat. That was good ship.
Yeah, because it was a good craft. He got stationed there. I think he came out. He was in Chicago. I got to Nimitz because I was in San Diego.
Right.
But yeah, neither one of us got what we wanted. I wanted to go. I was looking for European duty. He was looking for Westpac duty. Neither one of us got.
Oh, gross.
I was like, yeah, Westpac duty was great. That was. But who's? Oh, Laura Lee. Look at her over. Quiet, scaring the shit out of me. But okay.
Mm-hmm. Watch out. So what? I'm going to go a different way with this. We saw what happened with the CIA, with everything that they supposedly gave everything. I'm actually going to be having Michael Roser on next Monday. We're going to talk about this more on the Angel Rock, but everything was redacted. They supposedly gave you everything they had. All you got, you didn't get any photos, you didn't get any video. So I'm going to go a different way this time. I'm going to expect nothing and something very similar to what the CIA did. and whatever we see is a bonus. I have to agree with Sean. It'll be nice to know, and I don't really care what they say because I know what I've experienced, what I've seen, what I've heard. Is it going to change my life in any way? No, not unless they're coming here and they're going to get rid of Mr. Pink Pants and turn the world back by about 10 years. And that's not going to
He
happen.
might be one of them.
And I'm not being negative, I'm just being realistic. I think if you expect nothing, it'll be a surprise, whatever we do see.
It's always better to expect nothing from the government. I'm not going to lie.
How about this? How about looking at
Okay,
the other evidence?
Michael, hold
that
on there.
surrounds-
Michael, you've already talked enough there, buddy. Get on camera or
Oh,
don't
really?
move your lips there, buddy.
Well, actually, I have
Okay,
something to say. So, how
here
about
we
this?
go.
When it
No,
really
you
comes
don't
down
have anything
to
to say, Michael. Shut up.
disclosure,
Mute
when it
Michael.
comes down to
Mute
disclosure,
Michael.
Del, you're not in charge of
Mute
the show. You don't
Michael.
like it.
No,
Go.
but can we have a
Mute
turn?
Oh,
Michael.
yeah. Come on.
Michael,
It's Dell's
shut
turn because
the F up, Michael.
Michelle and I'd
Nobody
like
wants
to go.
see
All right,
you.
it's Del's turn.
Yeah,
Holy fuck.
we'd like a shot at it too.
Okay, so
Good.
anyways, going on with this part there here is this is what I'm going into the conspiracy field way and stuff like this. We've had this talk about Project Bluebeam, and Project Bluebeam was this thing about putting in satellites that would project images up and around in the sky. And you have Elon Musk that's putting up these Starlink satellites all over the place. They're around the world. Okay, so if you look at this problem or this phenomenon that's sort of happening, do you think that maybe some of these UAPs, UFOs, recently now, and the way that the news is sort of really focusing on this, to take away from the stuff about Biden and his son deals with China and Russia and there, right? This whole wag the dog phenomenon that's going on, that maybe that this technology has come a little bit faster than what it is, and maybe that some of the stuff that's being seen in the sky could be a projection, and they're doing it in South America because they're not as advanced as what North America and Europe is, and that's why there's so predominantly more UFOs seen in the sky than what we're seeing up here. I don't know, just a whole part of this, like technology, like you said there, Joe, technology moves really fast. Government's probably 50 years ahead of what we are, right?
Depends on the departments, 50 to 100.
I personally think that they've always been here. I believe they're in the oceans or in the mountains or in all kinds of places. I believe they have the technology to go back and forth, and that they do. I believe that we get more information from everyday people with camera phones and, who are out there and they're paying attention to what's going on. I personally believe that the military is only going to give bits and pieces, whatever's safe to give, because they have to disclose something. They're already saying that the June date for the end of the month may already be put off a little bit longer. So not expecting anything great. If ETs were here, which I believe they are, I've had experiences with them already. It doesn't matter to me. Bring them. I don't have any qualms. I've not had any issues with them.
To answer a good friend of mine the other day, he said, what does it mean for you? I said, it means I might get a paycheck. He's like, what do you mean? I said, as far as abductions and alien shit go, I'm top of the field, man. I said, I might get a paycheck, man. So that's all it means to me. So yeah, I'd like to get paid for what I do these days. I'm not talking through donations. I'm telling you, give me a paycheck, man. One day cash every week, put in my account, go spend, buy something. I like to shop, people. I got habits. I like to shop. My wife tells me all the time I should have been born a female. I like to shop. I got more credit cards than she does. I'm just saying. I like to shop. I like to do a lot of things, but that's one of the things I like to do. Whether we're going to get real disclosure, I'm not really feeling that. But the fact that we're going to get this much press is a good thing. It'll help get more people involved, but it'll also turn off a lot of people because it'll just be, oh, it's just more and more of the same old. We talk that things are real, but nothing really ever gets talked about. Like I've said this 100 times, probably 100,000 times, you'll never get the government to disclose until you give the government what they want, and that's amnesty. And as far as I know, no one's willing to give the government amnesty right now. I sure isn't. I sure am not. And none of the people I know are in the field feel like the government deserves it. And it's because it's worse than that, because this goes far beyond the government. Boeing, Lockheed, all these big companies have people that are tied into this stuff. It'll lead right back to them, which means restitution for contactees. This is just it's just too much for this particular population to absorb. There's too many people that are angry. There's too many people who have been taken that are angry. They're not going to believe, even if the government comes out and said aliens are real, but they're not taking anybody. No one's going to believe them. Even if the aliens come out and say, especially if it looks like one of the aliens that's been talked about, they'll be like, no, 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 we're not buying that shit. So I just, we want disclosure. We got to be willing to give up something. And that's something that's going to be no prosecution to anyone involved in this field anywhere. And I just don't know if the country's going to go for that. And it's just sometimes some things you think we would go for, but I don't think we're going to go for it. I think we're going to be like, nope, we want somebody to pay the piper here. You kept it from us for however long you kept us from us. We wanted to pay the piper. I know everybody, all my friends in the government, all my friends I know in the field, they all agree that this is the disclosure we're getting. They're just admitting to the fact that they have things that they don't know what it is. But they how did he say? The general said they're not comfortable saying they're alien. They're just not comfortable using it. Even though they know saying it's the Russian and Chinese just makes them look stupid because we would know if the Russians and Chinese had something like that. I mean, we fly over Russia until the treaty ends in a couple of weeks. We do regular flyovers over Russia, so we know what the hell's there. Not just with planes, with satellites too. And so it's not like that, you know. And the bitch part is, if I remember the story correctly, on both China and Russia soil, the U.S. has filmed UFOs doing flybys as we were doing flybys, like they were looking at the same things we were looking at. So it just seems like they have an interest in our society to an extent, but I think this is really more about them than it is us. I think they're here because this is a convenient place for them to be, and it's right wherever they need to be because we're 2/3 of the way out into the galaxy, so we're a good jumping point. Especially if you're jumping away from the center, or if you get ready to jump outside and follow a spiral edge, we're right there, so it's a good place to be. And to boot, the further you're away from the sun, more than likely the older you are. Not in our galaxy's case, by the way, but still, most of them, because we were ejected. But I'm not. Only disclosure I'm looking for is yes, we think there might be real aliens, and I just don't think the government's going to give me that. You're not going to go, well, Joe, we know you think you know everything, but look, we're just going to say they're UFOs. But we're going to say they're real, but we're going to say they're UFO or yaps, whatever they call them now. Why do we go from UFO to yaps anyway? What the hell is that about? I know Jason said he was going to call in and tell me, but I guess he forgot. Yap? It just sounds stupider than UFO does. Yip. How you say it?
Unidentified
UAP.
aerial phenomenon.
UAP. I mean, what kind of acronym is that? I'm just saying. It's just one of them things. UFO has been around forever. Everybody knows what it means. Why we want to start changing shit now is beyond me. I guess because the government don't feel calm.
But is it just an American buzz thing, or is it worldwide?
Good question.
I think our government's using it, actually. The UFO thing's worldwide, but I think our government... I don't know. You never know with the Brits. They're strange, man. I mean, after all, they birthed the Canadians, so, we know they're strange. They birthed all of us, by the way. But anybody writes to me, they birthed all of us. Look, just okay. If you live in the Americas, unless you're a native, you were probably birthed by a European. Just before anybody gets crazy. Oh, wait, where did the other question go? Here it goes. Hold on. Come here, you. I'm glad I put these where I can find them. Oh, well, that's interesting. Somebody give me a credit card. All right, I like that. This came in. This was actually... every now and then I get some of these. These are handwritten letters. It weirds me out when I don't get an email. I mean, about once a month, maybe once every 2 months, I actually get a written letter. Now, most of the time, they're from abductees or contactees sending me their stories on paper because I like to have it in old school paper. But this really comes down to if the government admitted that extraterrestrials existed and they admitted the fact that they were taking our citizens, should we want any kind of restitution? And I'm not talking about financially, I'm talking about criminally against the aliens. There's a lot of abductees, not contactees, but a lot of abductees would like to see the aliens, how can I say this politely, hung by their skinny gray, well, I can't say that part on the radio, but still. It's not all of them. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of contactees take it from a different point of view. Even though some of them are still angry they're being taken without being asked, they're not opposed to extraterrestrial contact or being involved. But the other ones seem to be. So again, how how do we? I guess we're going to change the question. How do we breach this gap between us and them? How do we figure out what can be a nice norm for the aliens, the government, and the people to agree on a way to talk to each other? We could be a new exopolitics group if we can figure this out. We're gonna go backwards. Well, no, we're gonna go down. We're gonna start with Laura Lisa. She's all quiet down there. She's probably quiet.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think you'd have to be living in utopia for everybody to agree, because we're even seeing what's, and I'm not trying to get off topic here,
I know what you mean.
everything that's going on in the world right now, we cannot agree. We cannot see eye to eye. There's never been so much.
So, on a secondary question to what I just asked you,
I am
do you
answering.
think? No, 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 no. But I'm gonna throw another one on top of the while you answer it because I want you to go through both of them. So on that, while you're saying that, would this even attempt to help bring us closer together?
Yes, because if, depending how far you go down the rabbit hole with conspiracy theory, they say that apparently one of the false flags that is planned is a fake alien invasion. And you think about the times before, like with 9/11, for example, you guys were on the verge of a civil war. There was a lot of unrest. It pulled the country together.
It did.
So it would be a beautiful thing if this could pull everybody together, because again, where I was going with it, I was talking while you were trying to talk, and I didn't hear you for the second question,
Okay.
is that I've never seen so many people fighting, families and friends, and like year-long, decades long friendships, and people are just so divided. And maybe this could have an opposite effect. Maybe it really could. That would be a beautiful thing if it could pull everybody together, take their heads out of their butts, put their differences aside, and realize we're stronger together than we are divided.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Where we
Yeah.
going next? Where we going next? You know what? Let's go. Oh no, let's go across the Dell. I'm having fun with the squares tonight. Dell, you up, baby? Then Mike, you
Yeah,
next, and then Sean.
Okay, so now there's a couple of things that go involved with this whole part there. So we have this whole talking about UFOs and government disclosing, and this has been a big thing. But I've seen on a bunch of other shows there too as well, and talking from actually government officials that this whole UFO UAP phenomenon and disclosure is just sort of a subterfuge because they're actually looking at dimensional. Bleed through and looking about passing through into other worlds. And there's been a lot of talk about this. This was the big talk about why CERN was built in the first place, about going through there and and breaking through with dimensional portals. And then you got to also add into this about the paranormal stuff. Maybe this bleed through that. So this little thing about little ships in the sky, yeah, they could be there. But the thing is, though, is that you have to worry about or think about, I guess, these chips, right, and technology. It seems to be is that if this was actually really something, like you said there, Joe, uh, the U.S. military would be like all over this. Like you guys would have like everything, like somebody with the finger on the button there, ready to shoot these things as soon as it came through. But the military and government, it doesn't really care. They're like, oh, well, we'll just figure out this for a year. And we'll give a report June 25th, what we think they might be. It doesn't seem that it's a threat in any which way, shape, or form. So
They don't take it as a threat. You can, and you're right, because if they did, we'd be scrambling. You see what we do with the Russians when they fly into our space. We go escort their asses out, but you don't see us doing that with UFOs. But there's a reason for that. But anyway, Michael, you up there?
Yeah, when it comes to national security, they're not going to say anything anytime ever. So really, it's a whole pointless conversation about what the report's going to say because you already know what it's going to say. It's going to say nothing, and then humans are not trustable in any way, shape, or form. Not any one of them. So again, it's going to say nothing, and it might just by them acknowledging already that they changed it from object to phenomenon tells you something's going on. But the fact that they have no answers, and even if everyone knew about it, you don't think that there's people out there that have a real primitive mentality that would flip out and protect their own communities. And I mean, it could go the opposite way. I don't think it's going to be a kumbaya moment knowing humans the way I do, and just seeing how people can't even get together on a goddamn political issue. They got to kill each other, let alone bang, there's aliens, and you don't know what they are, and we can't protect ourselves against them, and they can do whatever they want to do. I mean, that will be unacceptable to a lot of lowbrow.
It's gonna
even a lot of people who aren't lowbrow. So anyway, that's it.
No, it's true. It is going to be acceptable. Let's see. Oh, we'll let Michelle go next because Sean's beauty is making my eyes.
Oh, shut the hell up, man! God damn, man.
Well, I definitely agree with all of the points that have been made. I do think that we need to all get along. We can't. Okay, I'm just looking at what we're going through right now with this pandemic and how that has divided us. Let's not even talk about even like other serious issues that we are divided on. I don't think that, our religions have ever been 100% honest with us. Our governments have never been 100% honest with us. So there's no trust. And if there's no trust, there's nothing that can be said, shown, anything that's going to make a difference to anyone. You have your gullible people, unfortunately, and I don't mean that with any disrespect. There are people out there who genuinely want to believe that they are being told the truth. And, there is a degree of truth. It's just not the full truth. And unfortunately, I think until that starts happening, and there are a lot of actually higher ups up there who believe the same way. You look at people like Paul Hillier here in Canada, our ex-defense minister, and he's always said, don't try shooting a craft out of the sky. You don't go after, somebody who's got better technology than you, because then you're just looking for trouble. You've got to find a way just to learn about them, and you have to find a way to not fear them. The problem is media, government, religion has always instilled fear with just about anything. Not just ETs, not just UFOs. It's just with anything. Fear mongering. Get rid of that. Yeah. Build trust. And then I think everything else would follow.
Oh, Lord. What you got to say, Sean? I'm sorry, I was about to throw something off.
Michelle took the words right out of my mouth.
Thank you, kind sir.
Yes, she did. But no, I can't see everybody living, like Michael said, in the kumbaya world. It's just not going to happen because people are just going to get angry at each other no matter what. They might have a peace treaty for one day, and then someone's not going to like what the alien has to say, and the alien ain't going to like what they're going to say, and all hell's going to break loose. And what happens? They blow us up, and then where do we go from there? I can't see it. This world is not going to change. Honest to God, I mean, take it all the way back when humans started. Everyone's fighting, and you just can't do it. You cannot have a happy moment with anybody because it's never going to happen. Like Michelle said, with the media going on, if they would just shut their mouths and completely get off the air and write newspapers, who knows what? But that's how I feel, Joe.
No, that's a good idea.
We're primitive, right?
We are young and we are egotistical. And we definitely got issues as a society. We've got lots and lots of issues. So for aliens looking at us, they have to look at it a little differently. Okay, that's weird. Look at that. They've got to look at it a little differently than because if you look at America and Europe, if you look at most of the Americas in Europe. And parts of Asia, they're fairly civilized, and they could deal with this topic if it was presented correctly. But then you've got the rest of the world and the religious parts of the world that's not going to be able to deal with this as easy. It's going to be hard on a lot of people to even accept the fact that there is any other life than us. That itself, that's a 50% selling point on this planet right now, that half the planet's not going to believe that there is anything else. They're going to definitely call them demons or deities or whatever you want to call them. A pastor just not too long ago was telling me how Satan uses UFOs. I'm like, dude, get off the crack. It's like, let's get off the crack, man. I said, Satan ain't. I said, if Satan wants to scare the shit out of somebody, he's not going to use a UFO to do it. I said, besides that, I said, more people in real life would be scared of a demon popping up than a UFO. I said, just be honest about it. I said, so I said, I don't think it has anything to do with that. But that sex also got to be sold, and they've got to be educated in the fact that it is possible that there is life out there other than us. As far as it visitating the planet, evidence suggests they've been here for a long time. The real evidence suggests they've been here for a long time. Not just that, some of the parts of our history that's missing, like those sunken cities off the coast of India that date back 12,000 years. There's just parts of our history that seem to be completely gone and seem to be based in UFO lore when you find it. The Indian culture, the Chinese culture, both have a lot of alien stuff.
Somebody's got it all out there, though. We just don't. We're not all made privy to it.
No, we're not. I don't even know if the government really knows. The aliens know, but I don't know. I don't think they feel comfortable. I think if it was a one world government, the aliens would feel comfortable in telling us. But being that it's so many different governments, who do you trust with the power? It looks like at the beginning of the last century, they trusted the Germans with the power. We see how well that went over with a big freaking bang, 2 world wars. It seems like they've trusted the Americans for the last 40 or 50 years. But that doesn't seem, other than everybody's got a cell phone in their hand. That really doesn't seem.
Yeah, but you know what, Joe? When I first met you, like 2 years ago, you had a really good point. I've never forgotten it. And we hear this question all the time. There's been some great questions in the Facebook page too, in the chat. But you had said to me, and I think this is true, is people are always asking, well, what if they are there? What if they attack us? What are we going to do? There's nothing we could do, and if they wanted to attack us, they could have done it a long time ago. They've been here for thousands of years, right? Nobody knows what their agenda is. So even if they did admit, the government like actually came out and we got the dream list that they admitted it all, they've been here for thousands of years, that'll be people's big question, right? Like, well, what if they attack us? But they're not considering, and I never did until you said it. That
it's all fear-based. Here's a question for all of you, and Joe, you can direct who answers, but just based on a comment that Carrie Langdon made in chat, when she says, Walt Disney was a Freemason and in the know. Almost all of the older Disney stuff, arcane, Gnostic, esoteric, and secret hidden knowledge, and subtly hidden or contained within to some degree. So I'll just stop there with it. Do you think that they have been, or someone out there, because government hides things, do you think people have been giving hints throughout the last, let's say, 100 years, ever since there's been television or radio, like a Gene Roddenberry? That guy was so far ahead of it, it wasn't even funny. Same with Star Trek, just Star Wars. Everybody just giving little bits and pieces here and there, waking us up slowly.
I have no doubt that was part of the desensitization program.
I think they have been. Sure, they do. Even with, if you want to go with the nefarious that really run the world, it's almost like they play this sick game that they put it out there somewhere, but it's up to us, the peons, the 99%, to figure out where they put it. Like, I just always laugh when they bring up that quote. Do you think the Simpsons got it right again? Do you think they're psychic? No, they're not psychic. They knew what was coming. That's why they put it out there.
I know.
So I think so too with the UFOs and aliens. But that's just my thoughts.
I think so. Yeah.
Mike's an alien. Sean kind of looks like an alien sometimes. and Dell's definitely an alien. Ain't no doubt about that part.
Now, you know why he's in a cage?
Yeah, he needs to be in a cage, you damn alien. But I was thinking about, it's funny because I was thinking about Michael yesterday because a friend of mine from Hudson Valley called me up. And he was telling me about 3 or 4 days ago, and he was telling me about, Hudson Valley's got a lot of UFO sites. Got a lot of abduction sites into it. Also, coincidentally, seems to have a lot of high-risk cancer in the area. So we were trying to figure out how many of these people have been contacted. Yeah, it was streamed.
Come on, dude. The Hudson River, man. I mean, that's like the most polluted.
Well, no. It's. I'd have to show you on a map because So they show you where pollution concentrates when you pull up the whatchamacallit from the internet, the environmental agency maps. They'll show you where highest concentration of pollutions are. So we were trying to match that to these people who were getting it, but they were also having contact. But it looked like like at the top part of the valley is where most of the sightings were, and the lower part of the valley was where most of the pollution seemed to be. And it makes sense. I mean, it's channeling down, but the people getting cancer seemed to be in the middle, and the people getting abducted were all over the place. So I don't think there was a correlation. We was trying to find one, but I just don't think there was one.
Yeah, I took a course in disease clusters just recently, so it's hard to tell. It's more about based on consumption of chemicals and also exposure, right? And then you got a big nuclear power plant right there, right in the middle of the mix, on the Hudson. I don't know, and of course the Hudson, man, GE just destroyed that river so many years ago. Even though they said, "Oh, you could eat the fish out of there now," yeah. No, but you're right. There's a ton of UFO sightings. I mean, people tell me all the time about Tarrytown, places like that, or just up and down. For some reason, they see a lot of activity. So but do you think also, now look at ley lines? This is where a bunch of ley lines come together, and just north of there in Lake Champlain, there's a lot of magnetic activity that people come and go, and things come and go. So do you think it's more like a highway, or they're just going down to the city for the shows? Something like that.
Well, ley lines are nicknamed in the Paranormal Highway of the Dead.
Yep.
There's a lot of places. We have a place that's local, to Burlington, Ontario, where I've lived for 30 years. And the people at City Hall up there used to report, because they do have ley lines that allegedly cross, but they would just have people just show up in period clothing, or from all different types of clothing, of dress, from other locations, and they'd just pop up in their courtyard very randomly. Could happen at any time of the day or night, like as far as when they're gone. But there have been a lot of people who've reported in the apartments across just seeing all kinds of stuff out there. So I don't know.
A lot of people, their supposition was that ley lines were a way that UFOs could find their way around.
Oh, I believe that. Yes. Absolutely.
Does that mean up in Gettysburg, there's ley lines up around there?
I'm going to be there in 3 days, man.
3 days. Cool. I'm going up at the end of September. But is there ley lines up there?
I think there are some around there.
Look at Google. Google has ley line maps.
Oh, they do? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're always showing up in the 1863 stuff. And I think it's pretty cool. Never knew about ley lines until right now.
Yeah, apparently so. I don't know. It's interesting, though, either way. Energy line. That's why they would build all the temples there. A lot of the monoliths were built over ley lines.
When we were doing paranormal investigations along the Erie Canal, and 2 ley lines kind of intertwined on that whole thing, but I just thought, hey, because we're close to water, there's a lot of granite in the ground too, and things like that. You have better activity, because the environment demands it actually, but it's also ley lines. And then there's one point over Letchworth State Park, about 4 ley lines intersect in one point. Pretty amazing. But, just interesting to take note of, right, where activity, because people in Vermont say, hey, we're on a hiking trail, and, 2 people disappeared right in front of us, and they were gone. I mean, that's a common story of people just disappearing. What about the guy at White Mountain, right? Skiing down the hill, disappears completely, ends up in California 3 days later with his ski goggles on and his ski jacket on. I mean, and he had no recollection how he got there.
I didn't know that. Yeah, it is.
Do you think that's an abduction? Do you think that, because everybody in this area was looking for him. I mean, I'm about 4 hours from there, but still, it was a manhunt. Truck drivers, truck drivers, it's a family. Once they put something out there on the radio, everybody knows. The guy didn't get a ride from someone, and he left his wallet. He was a fireman from Toronto, a family man, not a hoaxer. Left his wallet, his keys, everything on the mountain. His friends said they were waiting for him to come down from the run. He never showed up. They were waiting at the bottom of the mountain. So do you think that could be magnetic to end up in Sacramento? Boom. And I was looking for Sacramento white face connections. There was another disappearance in Sacramento of boom, they're gone. But pretty interesting.
That is interesting. It's like a lot of those disappearances that go on. What is it called? Like the 4100. where people have just disappeared in plain sight, sometimes within national parks and the
Right.
mountains, and sometimes people are just within like 100 feet of them.
Yeah.
They turn around behind them, and all of a sudden, these people are just gone.
But what about monsters in lakes and things like that? I mean, even though I
Sure.
think those are like more dinosaur type of stuff, because the lakes here had them also. They killed one of them in Seneca Lake. They ran it down with a ship.
Wow.
And they have a beautiful picture online of it in the harbor, and it's not a tree trunk. It's not like it's but because everything's melting, they found a creature like it with a very long neck and a large body, and they think that is probably that, which Lake Champlain makes sense.
Yeah, it would. Well,
Yeah.
sometimes, I mean, they show up in fishermen nets too.
Yeah.
All over the world, or wash up on seashores. Like, I believe it too, but I also think you're correct in your theory too. What if they're just interdimensional, or hitching a ride on a ley line, and next thing you know, they're just in and out. You look at for instance, you look at the Loch Ness monster. They've hunted that place. I mean, we're talking decades and decades of research of them looking for something, saying there's absolutely no way it could survive in here, and sustain itself. Not like
Yep.
a big animal like that. I don't know. Is it? Are they going through portals? Are they being abducted? I mean, there's
Well,
reports of dolphins being, that were
right.
abducted from an aquarium in front of hundreds of people watching a show
Yeah.
by a UFO.
That's
But,
a Star Trek, the movie 5, right? The Voyage Home, where they went
Yes.
they took the whales. Yeah,
That's right.
But the thing going to this part here is that we were talking about the part about UFOs and that. And I just watched this recently, a documentary again. It was about Zimbabwe, where a UFO landed by a schoolyard, and there was like about 60 kids all
Yes.
in the schoolyard, saw
right.
this thing, and they saw the creatures that were there. And there was also another story that happened in Australia, and close to like a schoolyard area as well, where they seen a similar type of event happen. And this was sort of talked about. This was like a mainstream media that this was talked about, and was reported in the papers, but no one actually really took it seriously at all. And so, like, this is back in like the 70s, and the other one I think was in the 80s, and that. And just another part to this is that I was watching an interview on Howard Stern with Seth Rogen, the comedian, actor, joint smoker, and that. And he was talking about that he had a meeting with Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg, what he said is that he has a ship that he's created or whatever that is in underground, and that when there is some sort of a big, huge event that happens on here on the Earth, that him and whoever else can go on the ship and leave and go somewhere else, maybe Mars, where Elon Musk is looking there. So Seth says, "Hey, how much would it cost to be on the ship?" The guy says, "You don't have enough much money to be on this ship." So it's just sort of weird that you got to wonder what James Cameron's doing underneath the ocean. You got all these lot of
That's
money.
true.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah.
Well, see, I don't have to worry about all that. I already have a private seat, so I earned my seat many, many moons ago. When y'all all swimming, I'll be waving up there.
But there's stuff under the water, right, Joe? You and I covered that in the gray zone.
There's stuff all over the place, unfortunately.
All over the world, yeah, everywhere.
One of my favorite stories is a friend of mine had called me about a place he knew they were doing this weird shit offshore. And we already gotten some stuff a couple of years earlier down in Tampa, messing around where we shouldn't have been. So I said, you know what? I said, a good friend of mine just bought him a deep sea boat. He's been bugging me to go fishing. I said, so why don't we all go out? So I called him. I said, why don't you take us out here? I want to go out to this rig. It's about 300 miles out. And I gave him the location also. We start heading out there. We stop and we're fishing, because we were legit fishing. So we start getting close to this rig. First thing you see, old school World War II PT boat out of nowhere. I was like, that's kind of weird. Where'd that come from? Next thing we got. I think we were about 12 miles from our destination. The boat just died. That's a brand new boat. Ain't nothing wrong with this boat. This boat just dies. I mean, we're in 4,800 feet of water here, so don't want to be out without power out there. And it just dies. So we start drifting. Then we start, and then all of a sudden the GPS comes back on, and I noticed we were 14 miles So we drifted out 2 miles and the engine started back up. So every time we try to cross, so finally, it tells you how stupid we are. We go around the backside of it. We get the boat up to full speed. This boat is cruising 60, 65, 70 miles an hour, and just go through the thing and put the boat in neutral and just let it drift. We made it all the way to the rig. The boat was dead the whole way. It just floated in. Made it all the way there, bounced into it. Actually, we thought we were going to miss it at first because we kind of started on an angle, so because we knew the current was drifting. Got lucky, got right up to it. There were people all over the top. There was no boats in the water, which was weird. One helicopter on the rig was definitely military. Looked like a gunship of some kind. Nothing that I could readily identify, and I thought I knew all the active gunships. Bumped up to it, set off all kind of shit. People all hanging over looking. So we start drifting, and I noticed the rig made like a flash, like the whole rig flashed, or the light around it flashed. The boat cranked up. We were like, okay, that was more or less a signal, get out of here, we're going to let y'all go. Well, we ignorant. So we go full underneath the rig. And we park, we tie off. We're trying to find out what's going on because there are these massive, see, golf rigs are big, don't get me wrong, but these things were massive. These pylons going down, you could have flown a plane down these things, they're so big around. They're way too big for any kind of oil rig I've ever seen before, and they weren't pontoons, they weren't floating. Because one thing about the Gulf out there, you can see almost 4,000 feet straight down. You can see the sand at the bottom of the Gulf. And so anything going down, you can see. And we were watching, and there was no pontoon. This thing was, there were no chains, nothing tied off to it. These things went straight down into the ground with rig crossings going all the way down. This was not a movable rig of any kind. This thing was permanent, which I'd never seen a permanent rig in the Gulf before, other than 2 subtendon stations they got out there. But those aren't rigs, they're subtendon stations. And all you can really see is just barely the top of those. That's the only permanent structures I knew was out there. I didn't know we had any so-called oil rigs that had permanent structures. It's still there. There's all kind of activity around it. People see UFOs around it all the time. Usually, though, like I said, in a boat, you can't get more than 12 miles, so it usually cuts your power off before you get there. Last time I heard it reported was a year ago. A crew boat captain must have came across the edge of it and shut his crew boat down. And they actually dispatched a military vessel from the rig to pull him out of the zone.
Where is this area there, Joe? Like
this is about 300 miles south. Wait, where am I sitting right now? Because I'm facing the Gulf right now, so it'd be about 300 miles southwest, southeast. I'm sorry, off of where I'm sitting right now. I'm sitting in Pascagoula, Mississippi, exactly 100 yards from the Gulf. So basically, you'd go straight out from my house and hook a left, and you'd be there.
What's the name of the oil rig, though, Joe?
There is no name. It's not
no name at all.
And it doesn't show up. And that's another thing. On all the there's Gulf rig maps. It shows you the wellheads, the maps, the active rigs, inactive rigs. Everything that's in the Gulf has to be mapped because big ships go through and they don't want them to run into anything and sink their asses. So speedboats and all kind of other boats out there. So they're supposed to be accurate maps. This thing's not on any map. Anyway.
What about Google Maps?
Google Earth, I tried finding it on Google Earth. All it shows is a blob. It's like a white blob. And what's weird is because I've looked at stuff on Google Mars. One of the things we found on Google Mars, Google got so pissed when I posted this. There was something that slid in on Mars, and everybody told me it was an asteroid. When I finally got it up on my big computer where I could see it, and then I put it on a big TV, it wasn't. It was dish-shaped. It's still on there, too, by the way. It was dish-shaped, and you could tell it came in and slid in and just barely went under the dirt. Whatever this is still there. I couldn't tell you what the hell it is. But yeah, you can see this. See, like on Google Maps, you can see the rigs and shit out there. You can see a lot of stuff out there, and a lot of there's actually Google for boats now that supposedly tells you where everything is. I can't tell you how many people reported seeing stuff out there. I know the military's regularly out there, and I thought at first it was a subtending base that we just got our asses in trouble, but it wasn't. Something else.
Well, isn't the whole thing about the Gulf of Mexico, and this goes into a part there, was that's an actual meteor impact zone?
Well, it is, but not the Gulf as much as the Yucatan Peninsula. Right where the Yucatan Peninsula is where the dinosaur impact was right there, and it was massive, but it didn't dig out the whole Gulf. It dug out that section up there. You can actually see it. There's an image. You'd have to look it up, Del, but there's actually a satellite image of it from space. The area you can actually see where it kind of whopped out. I was surprised for it's big, but the Gulf is big, and golf people don't realize it. And I didn't either. And I lived down here for a long time. I never realized the Gulf was 6,000 to 7,000 feet deep. I had no idea it got that deep. I didn't realize it was big ass whales swimming out in there. And I've been all over the Gulf.
Hmm.
I knew there was big ass sharks, mind you. I know there's big whales out there. I had no idea there's whales out there. I was like, whales? What? Whales? There's whale. Made me think about what size boat I was going out in from now on. Because we get a little crazy sometimes. Take smaller boats than we should, but the Gulf is dangerous. It's deep. Lots of big animals in it, but it's a strange place because there's certain parts of it because it's so deep that there's nothing grows out there, and you don't see any fish out there. It's not contaminated or anything. There's just no fish out there. They just don't go out there. You don't know. You might see a whale or something. But I ain't never seen a whale out there. If I do, I'm a freak out. I've seen some big alligators out there before. Should have ran over one that was about 16 feet long. I thought I'll try to go find him because he might have been a record, but we couldn't find his ass. I guess we didn't kill him. Yeah, they will too, by the way. If you're ever out in the water in a small boat, 16, 18, 20 feet, gators have a tendency, it's like they're scratching their back or something. They'll go under the bow and push up on the boat as they go under. It's like they arch their back. It's really weird.
I wouldn't want to know anyway. Maybe alligators alien. Who knows? Huh?
Reptilian, maybe. Now, alligators are just alligators. It's funny, too, because we grew up with them. And I was watching these tourists. We were out there one day crabbing. Me and some friends of mine were crabbing out there. And we had a string tied about 12 feet long, and every foot we had a string tied with a chicken neck on it. And we just threw it out in the water. When you see the chicken neck go out, you just walk out there to scoop that and pull it in real slow and scoop up the crab. So this lady's laughing. She's out there watching. She said, "Oh, that's really good." Well, all of a sudden, one starts pulling. She said, "What else?" There's a damn alligator. So I go get my pole. I'm pulling it. I'm beating the alligator in the head with the pole, trying to get him off my chicken neck. He's not going anywhere, by the way. He's like, "That's my chicken neck. I ain't letting go of it." I'm beating him. He's splashing around. And then finally he lets go, and then I throw him out there. And then like 10 minutes later, here he comes again. Got two of them now. He's done ate the crab and the chicken neck.
That's a story no New Yorker would ever tell.
Weirdo.
Well, I guess the part of it there is that scientists are saying there that cephalopods, the octopus, the cuttlefish, and all that stuff, they're so far removed from I guess the DNA evolution line there that those creatures could actually be sort of alien or something, or could have been different from the DNA strain if you're looking evolutionary way Darwinian looking that line there, but they're so different from the rest of every other creature that's on Earth.
They think octopuses are aliens. That's something about
Octopi.
something about though. It was something about the way they think. It's not just located in their brain. It's like different parts of their body. It's almost like it's just in their DNA or something. It's really strange. They don't.
Have you ever listened? You guys ever listen to those sounds on YouTube of like the bottom of the ocean when they catch these sounds with submersibles? And it's always funny to like, oh, this probably like a whale, but it's like 7,000 feet down where whales can't go, But when you listen to it at high speed, it just sounds mechanical, like or doors opening and closing and things like that. Or
That's crazy.
Well, I got to do that tonight.
There's a lot of them on there. It sounds very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, well, it's all them like them weird noises you get from space. They sound like something out of the sci-fi movies, but they're actually legit noises. Jupiter and Saturn make some crazy freaking sounds.
Yeah, it's like music, man. It's like, wow,
it
this
is.
is more
It
of
is.
just mechanical. It just sounds like
Well,
machine.
Mike Nucci said that there was that thing for about 2 decades where everybody was bitching about these ultra low frequency sounds.
Mm-hmm.
People with hearing with really acute hearing, and even animals would pick it up a lot of times. And then somebody along the line, there was a group in Arizona. We're doing a sleep program together, and they kept hearing these sounds that sound like doors opening and closing. It sounded like they even went as far as having a seismometer come out and check the area to see if there was any tunnels or caves or something under the buildings because they kept hearing it. I think they were probably remote viewers, just didn't realize what they were doing. Because they were picking up legit sounds, but it all started out with this ultra low frequency that everybody was hearing. There was a whole group of people for like 2 decades. I mean, they were going to therapy and shit for this stuff. It was driving them crazy. And we found out later on, legitly, that it was Uncle Sam testing out a new program that put out these
Oh, wow.
frequency waves. Yeah, the government fessed up to it. They didn't pay anybody, but they fessed up to it. Never even told us what the program was for either. They just fessed up to it was them.
Locally here in
Well,
Educare,
that's the whole thing about whale songs, right? Whale songs that's such a low, deep frequency, and it's a slow moving wave can travel further through water,
Oh
and
yeah, much further.
than what we figure. I don't know. It seems to be that humans, as we are so are so mystifiedly dumb in the way the rest of the world works. Like they're showing there that certain types of plants on one side of the earth with the frequency going on, if something happens at one side there, that the same type of plant on the other side of the earth will actually give a reaction to it. We see this even with in the fungi world with how big a mushroom work over there. It's one organism, but it can cover like acres and acres of area. Seen the same thing with plants, with trees. When there's danger of fire, that other trees will actually, through the root system, will react the same way. So something over here, we're just so I don't think we've really looked at the Earth and the other species closely enough to see like, hey, maybe these things are actually sentient as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Hive mind.
No, it's true. I believe everything that grows and feels is definitely, obviously sentient. The people on mushrooms who grow them will tell you that they actually are. So it's like, all right, man, I'm not a partaker, but thank you for the information.
I know nothing about no mushrooms.
If you're some kind of alien being and you don't want to be around people, you go where people can't go, right? I mean, the Hopi Indians told about the ant people who came up from under the earth, who showed them how to do all kinds of stuff, and basically they had machinery and they built things. So, I mean, most cultures have a story like that, but it makes sense.
Yes, I agree. I agree. I absolutely
And as
agree
for these lakes, we were talking about earlier, we all share glacier lakes. So, they're very deep. I mean, the two that are here, 600 feet deep around there, that's deep, man, for a lake. Anything and anything. We got sturgeon, things like that. Plenty of wildlife down there. So.
Yep, I absolutely agree. There's parts of this planet we haven't even touched on discovering. We're spending a boatload going to space, and maybe they're going to look for extraterrestrials. But boy, oh boy, they're right here. There's so many reports of them coming out of mountains, going into the water, lakes, oceans. Let's face it. I think it would be cheaper to do it here. But there's a lot of people that believe that even though ET doesn't interfere, that they do not like what we're doing to this planet. They don't like that we are taking down all of these trees. I mean, in mass numbers. They don't like how we can't get along. They just don't like what we do to the planet.
Well, at
we
the
don't
same
take
time,
care of it.
you have this huge announcement, and then there's a campaign to vaccinate the world with something that people may or may not need. So it's very weird. The timing is very strange.
Yeah, I figure that.
Right, there's a lot of weird stuff goes on right now, and it's like when you hear different people talking about the COVID or talking about this, or talking about that. No matter what it is, currently it's a 50-50 divide. I would hope the ET could cross that divide, at least some. I mean, something's got to be able to cross. We used to not be this polarized. As a society, we used to not be this polarized. I mean, we've been polarized for a while now, but not this bad. I mean, now it doesn't matter what you say. Somebody's always going to take the opposite. Even if they know they're wrong, they're still going to take the opposite side.
Right.
And the media is a joke. How can you get anything? You can't get.
It really is.
You can't get real news about things that make it different in our lives, much less about anything paranormal, extraterrestrial, or anything else along those lines. If you hear somebody in media say the word ghost, it's always with a giggle. Or if you hear him say, or alien, it's always with a giggle. I got a lot of friends in the paranormal field. I don't know how to put up with this shit. Frankly, I get aggravated when they giggle about UFOs, and it just irritates me.
You mocked our ghosts, Joe.
Hey, you know what I think about ghosties, man. Don't get me started on damn ghosts.
Oh, no, don't get them started.
Don't get me started on ghosts.
No.
All y'all out of business.
No.
Interdimensional bleed through.
Oh,
We had
Well,
one in my house,
finally
and I've had
accepted.
interdimensional
a good friend of
breakthrough.
mine,
Yeah,
out of New
that's
York
what it
called me.
is.
Yeah.
Know what's funny about this whole thing there is that do you guys remember this campaign that was just even a few years ago? My body, my choice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then this was big thing there, my body, my choice. But now because of this fiasco that happened over the last year and a half, you're getting it's not your body. You have to go and get this jab, right?
Well,
And so
they
that's
haven't
that
really
went.
said
Oh,
you
that went.
have
That
to, but
well, you could be.
I'm
You
hearing
can
Pink
switch and
Shorts
go
is
a little
going the
bit
route I
more.
have to.
Pink
I
Shorts
mean,
is what?
I hear he's going the way of y'all might have to. He's under pressure. Okay, this is totally off topic what we're talking about, but he's under pressure from not just us, but from other countries to reopen because it's costing everybody money now, not just y'all, but it's costing us money. So they're like, no, 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 you got to get this open. So he's stuck between a rock and a hard place right now with the
No,
promises he
he's
made to his
not.
own.
He's
No,
saying
he's not.
75%. If he gets 75% done, he'll open.
The other thing
No.
is, while we were live, I just seen on Instagram in Parliament in Alberta, they just put forth the motion to bring the vaccine passport. Just put it through.
Good luck with that. It ain't gonna help them none
Yeah.
down here. It ain't gonna
Nope.
help them with Americans either because they're gonna go. We already pretty much. They were to try that here. They really were. They really were going to try that. But then all the heartland, the western states, with the exception of the West Coast, but the western states, the heartland, and the southern states said no, and that is the majority. So the government, there's nothing they can do about it. The states all passed bills saying we would not put up with that bullshit. No way, no how. And they told any airlines or any businesses that asked for it, they could leave their state. So, and I'm not thinking Delta wants to give up the hub yet in Atlanta. So I don't think, but it's going to be hard in countries like any country with less than 100 million people. This is going to be hard on because it's hard to say no when the government's got all the power. It's the same thing with the aliens. It's hard to say no. The government's got the power. They're like, well, we can tell you all this. It's like the Pentagon put out stuff, and they didn't put out. They got better footage than that. They got the Nimitz footage. I personally know they got footage of the Nimitz. That's much better footage, but you know what? It's not unidentified. It's identified. They know what the hell it is, so they're not going to put it out there. They're like, no, we don't need to put it out there. It's not what we need to do at the moment. We see, but this is, and I said this, and what's great about it, this for me, you can go back all the way back to when I was hosting Wake Up USA. These are one of the things we talked about, teases from the government about disclosure to help get people ready for it. I don't know if it'll be in our lifetime or not, but they do want to disclose. It's not the issue. It's not the issue that they don't want to disclose. They really do, but they're going to need some stuff for them to do it, and they need to know everybody's on board when they do it, or at least the majority of people on board. Right now, they're just not. I'm telling you, the Americans you can sell, whether it's South America, Central America, North America, you can sell the Americans on ET. It's not going to freak them out. It's not going to be the end of the world. I'm not even sure if you can sell all of Europe on ET right now. Europe's pretty screwed up. China, you're definitely not going to be able to sell it. India is going to be a hard sell too, and a lot of the African countries is going to be a hard sell. So I just doesn't seem like it's going to be coming out right now. And then even in America, we're going to have the people out in the streets with their crosses. It's the end of the world. Join the church. God's coming for you. I can just hear it now.
They're doing it now. Come
I
on.
know, but now it'd be just be in vast numbers, and they'll have the TV backing them up.
Yet it's mind blowing because for people who have very strong, like a Christian, let's just go with the Christian faith, especially like the older faith. Like I said, in the Old Testament, there are at least 4 mentions, of extraterrestrial encounters. One with Jesus himself. So it's just like, okay, it's there, but you refuse to think that it could be here now. I mean, like I said, you look at Enoch was probably one of the very first abductees. Let's look at Ezekiel. Like there's a lot of stuff in there. And to just deny it now just tells me that, media and the powers that be, who lead, certain religious organizations and sects are doing their job by just, we really are a species with amnesia. I say it all the time, but I really do believe that we are. I believe that, we are born knowing a lot, and we're just conditioned to not remember any of it.
Well, that makes total sense because when we're all kids, if you do, Oh, I shouldn't even bring this up. Shame.
Careful.
So when it comes to psychic awareness and psychic abilities, when kids are growing up
Mm.
and they're active, especially if they're going through puberty or something, and they're really active, they can tell. They might not know what it is, but there's always shit going on around them, always kind of weird stuff, and they start to learn how to use it. It's not until they get older in their mid 20s, late 30s, mid 30s, that they're told that no, it's not real. It's not you. You're hearing things. You're crazy. You're not psychic. You don't see any of that. None of that shit's real. And then a lot of people, because of that, just bury the gift back up and don't use it anymore. Or so it's a shame to see that happen, but it also proves my point that not everybody's got psychic ability.
A lot of times they're taken to psychiatrists by their parents,
True
man.
too.
I've heard a lot of those stories off of mediums and psychics, and oppressed because they don't believe in it or they can't wrap their head around it. People, man, they're very limited.
Well, they are,
Mm.
and that's the problem. They want to put labels on all of this. Since nobody knows what the freaking actual label is, it's kind of hard to do. We're in a
I think
position
it's
now.
responsibility, man. The more responsibility you have for yourself, the more other people are going to observe that and realize you're a responsible species. But there's plenty of people that are on this earth that are totally irresponsible. They can't even take care of themselves. They're gonna be like parasites and live off of whatever. But I grew up. If you're a man, you take care of yourself, you work, you take care of your family around you, that type of thing. And it was an ethic, an ethic. But do you think that any advanced species is going to look at us and see, are these people responsible enough for any advanced technology? Obviously, we can't handle the stuff we have now, right?
Mm.
Yeah, we got to work on getting our houses in order.
All right. Well, what about Bill Gates building these little mini nuclear power plants, man? Do you see that one?
That's new.
That's new to me.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a big deal. And
How does somebody just get to the approval to go build a bunch of nuclear power plants? I mean, the government, especially in the United States, are very, very touchy about that sort of thing.
Well, he practically owns the DOE.
That comes into the whole part about that free energy, right? Right. If people had free energy around, right, and that you get to supply your own energy for your place, now you have to look at the government infrastructure that they do with all these power plants and stuff like that, right? This is a huge amount of money that's being paid, but tax dollars that are being used, right, that you pay for every year. So if you have free energy that everybody could have a little vehicle that they could drive around, you don't have to go to the gas bar anymore. You power your home, do all this stuff there. That's money, right? Everything always comes down to money.
You look at the Hoover Dam. They don't even have enough water now to power it. They're running so low on the Colorado River, and it's affecting millions of people. What are they going to do? That powers the Vegas and the surrounding areas. That's nature, right? It's not fossil fuels. Fossil fuels you can rely on. You start the car, unless something wrong with it, it's going to go. I was just reading an article about they have this other source that's renewable. The whole article said nothing what it was, of course. They just kind of alluded that this NASA scientist is working with the Department of Energy developing these things because Joe Biden wants everything to be green, but everything made of cobalt is not very green and is killing people, right? And, anything lithium that they thought was going to be good. So this other source is going to be amazing, but it's just bull crap. It's bull crap because some oil company is going to come along and just get their hands on it anyway. Right? Isn't that what they do?
Well, this comes into a thing that what Michael said and you, Michelle, also said there about ley lines, right? And there's a theory out there that these ley lines were a part of this free energy that goes around there where people could tap into. And this is a theory that's out there. And this is the whole thing that's out there with why these pyramids are around there, that they were conductors and transmitters of energy power. That people could go and give and tap into this energy and use it, right?
It was a huge movement, Del, right into the 1960s and 70s and tapered off for a little while, but people were being healed in these things. Like, you can really research that, and I completely believe that.
So you got to think about it. That we have these ley lines, we have areas where we have paranormal and UFO, UAP phenomenon happening around areas, and like Michael said, you can go on to Google Earth and you can go and they show you the map of where these ley lines are and where they go through, and they travel along. And you have the Earth that is a huge magnet. It would basically, right? And you look at that, and they all coalesce and travel along the same things. And you have to wonder, and this is the part, you can be conspiracy theory or not, whatever, is that does the government or military, not just the US, but other places there, have this sort of information that we've sort of lost and that would actually benefit the rest of society? But they don't let this information out because the system works good for the wealthy, not letting everybody else know what's
Well, what
going
I would
on.
share was that there is a few people in the New Age movement, if you will. Marie Diamond has a course called Diamond Dowsing, and she teaches you how to find all the underground water under your place, the ley lines, how to cure them with copper rods, and it makes a huge difference. And she actually can demonstrate, like through muscle testing and things like that, to prove when she's able to fix it. And like she says, it doesn't cause illness, but it can lower your immunity. She tells quite a story about her whole family and stuff. So I think there's something to this.
There are people out there who do really strong energy work, who can actually move ley lines. Not miles, but I mean like inches, but sometimes that's all it takes to shift something over. So it's fascinating.
It was a really cool course.
like,
I took it. It was 2 days. It was really good.
Nikola Tesla, his intention was to like condense the energy trapped between the Earth and its upper atmosphere and transform it into electric current. He envisioned all kinds of vehicles to be powered on this, and you would never have to use fuel at all because the energy's free and it's there. Like Dull said, he wanted to give people free energy, and that was the Tesla towers and all that. And look what happened. Nothing, right? I mean, he's dead. He was dead. And it was Trump's uncle, John Trump, who seized his files because he was a big guy in the government. Isn't that funny?
Yep,
Yeah,
you're right.
funny how it
They
works.
took a lot of those files, but you can watch this, and you can watch this on, if we look on YouTube, or you can look on other sources. There is with, I think it was a Wayward Tower that he was building there. J.P. Morgan didn't want to fund it anymore, and that was dealing with this tower to give out energy around. And there's experiments that were done where he just put light bulbs in around away from the tower, stuck them in the ground, and these light bulbs would light up. Right,
Yeah.
not connected to any power system at all, just sticking in the ground with this transmission of this tower shooting out stuff there. Right, so you got to. There's a lot of things, but it all comes down to money, right? Everything comes down to money. What do they want to give up, right? If you had free energy, you wouldn't have to depend on, like I said, the power grid that's doing everything like that. It's funny how things work with capitalism and dollars.
He sent a ball of plasma from Long Island to the North Pole, and the admiral up there said it exploded with a bigger blast than a nuclear blast, and with no residual effects off of it. So I mean, he was working in plasmoid weapons and all that, and think about. So I mean, John Trump, when Nikola Tesla died, he actually said to his cohorts in the government, "Oh, there was nothing of any interest in his files, nothing dangerous,
Yet
nothing bad."
They stole everything, so
Isn't that amazing?
Something.
Just like that, stealing out in the open, right? License to steal.
Yep.
So now you have to wonder, if you're going into the UFO thing, are these UFOs that we're seeing there, are they fifth dimensional, popping in and out of an area? Are they using the energy of the Earth that maybe government, military, and other countries are keeping secret, that are being around there? Why is it showing up so much down around South America in a lot of reports? Because the South America is heavily high in minerals down there, that lots of silica, quartz, stuff like that. So you have to wonder, why is this whole phenomenon being so prevalent lately in the last 20 years?
You would wonder what materials they would need, even if they've, I mean, we're on the verge of cold fission and all that other stuff. So it's very interesting, or I mean, really look at the super colliders and the things that we collect, so like antimatter is a huge deal. So, but we're just humans. Right now,
If
I'm
you
just
if
thinking
you
about
if
having
this,
some M&Ms.
but if you look into if if you look into the story through the past, right, about gold, right, and there's a story I think Sitchin had done there about that these alien races came there to get gold here on Earth because they needed to put it into their atmosphere to protect the planet X and stuff like that. But you have to wonder because scientists have found that out in the asteroid belt and other places there are huge amounts of stores of minerals that are out there
Mhm.
that if they have an alien technology, they can fly around. Why don't you just go and grab one of these rocks out there that's like full of gold? They could have used that. Why did they come to Earth and have and create something, as the story goes, and create these beings that went and mined gold that is so hard to get out of the ground and through a process when they could have done that? So this is the whole part. And Sean, I think he said, are UFOs and aliens actually real? And why would they do it? So if they have that technology, why would they come here and create something that, through a difficult process?
Mm.
Maybe it's not difficult for them once they
Just
have
go to
it.
Fort Knox. Go to
That's a
Fort Knox.
good.
If there's gold left in Fort Knox.
Sorry, Sean?
But yeah, you're right, Del. You know what? They said that one asteroid that's not too far away is worth how many thousands of trillions? They didn't even have a number. They couldn't even make up a number of what that thing is worth. So if you're an alien, you have those great technology. You think you just go up there and take what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that, Michael. I agree with that. But back to Michelle, when you were saying how people work a lot of energy, um, do you think? Well, this is what I think. I'd like to know what you all think. With all the negative going on out there in the world right now, all that energy that we release, everybody's releasing, could it like move the ley lines to certain situations, and that's why all kinds of weird crap people are missing?
I think when it comes to energy, anything is possible. I believe for every action, there is a reaction. It's like, let's say, I've used this example before because it seems to be the easiest one for people to understand. I like to cleanse my spaces because let's say you're having a bad day or you get into an argument. If you don't cleanse your space, you get into an argument in one room, or you're just feeling foul in one room, whatever it is. You come back to that same room 2 hours later, and you might be feeling a lot more lighthearted at that point. But if you walk right back into that patch of energy that you projected outward, and then start wondering why you're maybe feeling a little foul, it very much is like that. Like it just hangs there. That's why there's so many imprints and residual energy when we do investigations. I believe that when you project that sort of thing out there,
Mm-hmm.
it just sort of it imprints itself. We leave
Right.
traces of ourselves everywhere we go. Now you do that on a mass scale, that's going to leave
Right.
one hell of an imprint
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yes.
So I don't know. I think energy is energy, but if it just sits there and compounds onto itself, it will just continue to grow. My opinion, anyway.
I agree
Thank you.
with everything you
Thank
said.
you, ladies.
Yeah,
Like
you're welcome.
like cancer and rust, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think a part with that, like I agree with everything you said there, Michelle, and I'm just wondering about toroidal fields, right? That deals with Earth's magnetics and stuff like that. And we have magnetic north and south that constantly moves all over the place, right? But
Hmm.
we do have certain areas where they are sort of constant. One constant I believe is what they call is where all these megalithic buildings from the past that we don't know how they were built were big, huge, large stones. When history sort of tells us that there's no possible way that they can move 500 ton boulder and stuff like that with stone tools and basically technology there. And I agree with Joe. It's like there's holes in our history that have been lost to, and don't know what it is, what the sort of Kabbalist uh, faction that is controlling history and leaving this stuff out. But I think there's a lot of mysteries out there, and I think this is stuff that is so interesting that people should actually open their eyes and look at. I think UFOs is like a drop in the bucket of worrying about that. I think there's more mysteries that are going on in the earth here, and if we're looking back in the past, would be a way to sort of solve these things or take notice of.
Mm-hmm.
Or plot
Mhm.
history where it's been changed. Start there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's Rubio. Senator Rubio's the one saying that they could be a threat, and he's basically because he's part of the Intelligence Committee, which is actually kind of funny. But they're saying, hey, you don't know what it is, and there it is over you or over our best equipment, and you don't know. You just don't know. They come and go as they please, and it's a valid point, though, right? But if they
Mm-hmm.
were a threat, what the hell can we do about it? Basically, nothing.
Right.
They've done something already. That's the part I never considered that I brought up earlier in the show when I was the first conversation I had with Joe about that. I didn't even consider that. Because if they wanted to do something, they could have done it eons ago.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
Wasn't it Reagan that had said there? I think we talked about this before. Reagan had said that our biggest threat that would be some sort of alien threat that would sort of align all the countries together and stuff like that. We have to
He
be
actually
looking at
said
the threat that's
he,
coming from
he,
out there.
he was like upset at the question because they kept asking him. He was like, "What do you want me to do? Tell you, yeah, there's aliens and yeah, they're a threat." People are like, "What?"
No, actually, Reagan made this speech on 7 occasions, 3 times in front of the UN Assembly. He gave this speech. He was dead serious about it. He's the guy that instituted Pine Gap, the HARP facility, and Star Wars. He had no doubt that something was coming, and he was preparing for it. He's the only president I know that ever prepared for it. Now, Pine Gap is the British Joint Defense of Outer Space. That's what it's designed to do. It's supposed to defend us in deep space. And it's still a functional thing inside of Australia today. It hasn't gone away. It's still there.
Oh yeah.
The HARP facility is still in full function, blowing holes all through the ionosphere, irradiating our poor Canadian friends every day. By the way, just in case y'all didn't know that, America don't punch holes over the Alaskan ionosphere. They do it over the Canadian part. They don't do it over the other
Thanks
part.
for that.
Sorry about that.
I just thought I'd let y'all know that.
Buggers.
You was wondering why it's getting hotter up there. Now you know why. And then
Great.
then he introduced Star Wars, which was to blow up supposable Russian bombs, but I mean Russian missiles. But these lasers were so big, I don't know what they were planning on blowing up with these damn things. Cities,
Subterranean weapons, right? The
These things
USS
are
Reagan
huge, man.
is supposed to have a subterranean weapon upon
They're
it.
big. They're big enough that Area 51 was using them to launch disc into space to do surveys with. So they got these big 100-foot across discs with these fins in them. When set them on top of lasers, superheat them and jet them up into space.
There's a one in China there too, at the north part of China, which is shooting up stuff there that actually affects the jet stream, and you can actually look at this on Google Earth, and you can go and point to this stuff, and you can go onto NOAA's site there as well and see how when that thing charges up, how it pushes the jet stream away to affect weather. Weather manipulation is a constant that's been going on. Dubai has a whole article where they make it rain once a week to keep everything green, and they do this stuff through charging the
Well,
atmosphere.
we've been manipulating weather since we learned how to solve clouds. It's we can do it to extents. We can't do it as good as we'd like to. I can tell you that much. And China would love to be able to do it because China has short growing seasons. It doesn't have much fertile land. People don't realize continental China is about the size of the continental U.S., but the U.S. has way more fertile ground than China is. China's got a lot of mountains that can't be used for anything. They got a lot of, and most of the rivers currently are polluted like ours were in the 40s and 50s. The only difference is China don't seem to want to clean them up. Whereas America and our allies decided somewhere in the 70s we needed to clean up our act. China's nowhere near that. China like screw y'all.
Because of Ralph.
Well, they're
Nader.
doing in China. If you can go on this, they have some of the biggest dams they've ever built in the world. Like they're doing something to create a lot of energy, and it seems to be a little bit weird. And this goes into conspiracy theory too. Is that are they building stuff underground? That's why they need all this electricity and stuff like that.
Well, they need all this electricity because they got a population of 1.5 billion, and currently only 400 million of them have electricity. That's what the real problem is China. People forget this about China because we only think about China. with the 300 million living like we are. The other 1.2 billion don't. They live below the lowest poverty level there is in the Americas. And we're talking like South American poverty here, below that level. And the problem is they don't have a lot of them don't have running water. That's why the rivers are so polluted. You'll see them out there, just like in India. They're out there using the rivers to take baths and showers and clean, feed their farms and stuff like that. And a lot of the rivers were dammed up to add water to grow cities in areas so they had clean drinking water. The problem is China just don't have any clean drinking water anymore. It's all got purified. It's I mean, you don't go in any. There's no major cities right now currently in China, with the exception of Hong Kong, and it's not mainland China, that didn't look like LA did 40 years ago. I mean, the fog covered it. I mean, China reminds me of the United States in the 20s, 40s, from the 20s to the 50s. The only difference is America, somewhere along the line, people kept getting caught, corruption kept getting caught. Eventually, we were forced to clean up our act. China's a communist country. No one can force them to clean up their act except for us, and we don't seem interested in it. I don't know why we don't seem interested in it, but we don't. But I'll tell you what we are going to go after China for, thanks to Uncle Fauci. Is what happened with COVID. Yeah, we're going to definitely go after him. Biden's pretty much already come out and said it now, but I don't think he's got a choice. I think since the new data came out that he don't have a choice. I think he has to now. I think the rest, if he don't, the rest of the world's going to. So we're going to see everything's going to change over the next 5 years because there's going to be a lot more players involved and a lot more things going down. And there's going to be some close calls, I'll say.
Well, even with China there, with all this power and stuff like this, Michelle and Joe, you both did a show there a little while ago about dragons. There's a thing with China and mythical creatures and stuff like this. There's such a real rich history in there that's involved. Like I love looking at China and their history and stuff like Su Wukong, the Monkey King. And there's the dragons, a huge prevalent thing that's over there, and that's where I think also the thing was Japan was the Godzilla, but that whole Asian culture of mythical creatures that are involved in there. I would be more surprised seeing a dragon than I would be a UFO.
Well, it's interesting because all of that stuff you're just talking about in China, that's what the Chinese government thinks is the worst thing that could happen to their country. They're trying to outlaw all of it. They're trying to hide all of that history. They're trying to hide all of those rituals because it takes power away from the communist government and gives it to whoever this ritual happens to represent. And they want that taken back. That's why they don't let Muslims in the country. They don't want religion in the country because anything that can take power away from the government can give it back to the people. And they do not want that in any shape. And all the stuff you and I are talking about right now is stuff that was prevalent in their history for 5,000 years. So it's deep, it's steeped in them, but the government's trying to wipe it out. They just like the Middle Eastern government was trying to do when they were trying to blow all and kill all the statues and they get rid of everything.
Aren't you guys going through that a little bit, even in the U.S.?
Yeah, we are in some ways. Yeah.
Wiping out some of the history because it's not appealing. It's not. I know it's difficult when it comes to history. We don't have to agree with it. We don't have to like it. Some of it's foul. But I mean.
The few facts we have is in the history because we know that.
No, I know, but it's just the whole world has been doing atrocious things to one another for centuries, for thousands and thousands of years.
Yes,
you can't change what happened. You don't want to commemorate it. No, of course not.
To learn,
but if it's already there, it's sort of like it's tough, fine line.
I'm suing for reparations, by the way. I want my Native American reparations. I'm pissed, man. I'm suing the Canadians. I'm suing the British. I'm suing everybody. I'm pissed.
What about those Christian reparations?
I'm suing them too, man. I'm suing them bastards too. For making me go to church with them perverts. I'm suing them too, man. It is on.
Well, that's the funny thing about that's the funny thing about history, and I agree with you, Michelle, on that, is that the new world here in North America, and that they're trying to remove so much of history that's there. If you ask any 10, 15, 20-year-old person about cassette tapes and 8-track tapes and stuff like that, they have no clue about anything about media. They don't even know.
An old telephone.
Yeah, you got it.
You had to go and dial up or even call the operator to get left.
Oh, yeah. I meant to say that at the beginning of the show, there's a movement to get your phone renamed. They don't want to call them telephones anymore. They want to call them something else.
It's like 411 to get a phone number instead of going online. It's just crazy.
Now you can talk at your phone.
You see, but you see how technology, and like I agree with Eldis, technology jumped really huge. Like I'm 51. In 50 years, technology has jumped from nothingness to where we are now, which is amazing. Like, and you have to think about, does the government or special groups there, did they have alien technology that allowed us to move from the punch card into the computer to now we have microprocessors and gates and silicone chips that can store like so much stuff in there. And now we're at a point in
Well, look
technology
at some
where the
people
microchip isn't even big enough or fast enough to move. They have to go do
no,
something different.
but your phone now is now a computer,
Yep.
and this is
Star Trek.
like 30 years from your first big, you know, computer processors to now you can do everything in the palm of your hand.
Look how many gigabytes a little tiny mini SD card can hold, the size of your fingernail. And my first computer was 15 megs. It was a compact Presario, 15 megs.
I remember when I got my first gig hard drive. They called it a Bigfoot. It was that big.
Commodore 64.
Yeah.
I had one of those too. I actually started on computers prior to Windows, but I remember when Windows 3.0.
DOS? You mean the DOS program?
That's all it was.
Basic,
to send to go to a website,
Turtle,
it took like 15 minutes.
Fortran.
Typing away.
Dial up.
And then you're on your website. Yeah. And
5 1/4 discs. Remember the big floppy discs? You had to put in there.
I still have one of them computers with an active 5 1/4 disc in it. It's a 250 megahertz processor. It's got a half a gig of memory in it. I don't know if it's got any RAM. It must have like
It was slow.
Of course, it was slow. Well, back in the day, it was fast, but today,
so who do we thank for that technology leaps and bounds?
I'm telling you, that's where that Roswell
Back
technology.
engineering.
Advertisers.
So here we can thank them for that technology. We can thank ET for that technology potentially. So what else can they bring to the table if we could all just get along, not just with each other?
Well, we're going to say that for the next show because we got to go because the Horsefly Chronicles is coming up next. Sorry.
All right.
With Julian Phillips. Who's look, I can't even pronounce anybody's names, man.
Syracuse.
Thank you.
Syracuse.
Vaccines getting into your brain.
Drugs. No, it's
sprouting.
I told you earlier they shot me full of radiation, man. I'm nuclear for 2 days, man.
You got the double edged sword going on.
I was wondering why my computer screens keeps twitching. Look, see that shit? Look at it.
Super powerful.
Anyway, guys, everybody, thanks for showing us. Sean, it's nice to have you here, man. Laura Lee, thanks. Michael, thanks. Dale, thanks. Michelle, thanks. For Joe, I'll tell you here. It's cool. But we got to go because they're coming up next, so y'all stay tuned. They'll be here in about 2 or 3 minutes. Everybody else, I'll see. Well, Laura, I'll see you later. I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, remind me when I talk to you later tonight. I want to talk to you about something else, so don't let me forget. Anyway. Let me get out of here, guys.
I'll be back in an hour on the Angel Rock too. So.
Y'all then. Goodbye, guys.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.